Hello, all of you Street Fighters out there in the world. I am MegaAmpster. Thank you for clicking on this video. Hey, if you're new here, welcome. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you like the channel. If you're a returning viewer, always great to see you here. Thank you. You know I say this every time. Thank you for all the support. Really appreciate it. We are here a little bit late, a day late as of this recording, because yesterday Street Fighter 6 was released unto the world. Of course, people have been playing betas and demos and stuff like that, but the full release is out now, and I'm just going to give a little bit of a preface for myself. I really have not played much Street Fighter. I've always wanted to get into it. I love the world and the characters, and it just looks really fun. But, you know, being a little hesitant about like professional fighting games and how those can kind of go, I've always just kind of been in the background and kind of watched from a distance. I played a tiny bit of classic Street Fighter 2, and that's literally it. I've played some of the characters in Project Crossroom, that doesn't count, and Marvel vs. Capcom, but which I guess is a little closer. But here, for some people like me, maybe, I think this video could be useful for. As to someone who has pre-ordered Street Fighter 6, I'm waiting for it to come in with a free Udon comic from Walmart with the pre-order. That'll probably be sometime next week. But for those of you like maybe who might be like me, who are kind of on the fence about it, maybe because, you know, you're not into super intense fighting games, or, you know, maybe you're just like, well, is it really worth the full price now, or whatever? I kind of wanted to make this video, you know? Top 5 reasons why maybe you should be interested in this game if you weren't already immediately sold. You know, that's kind of what I'm going for. Because if you're either like a professional fighting game player, or you are like, we're so interested in this game from the start, then I mean, you've already bought the game, I'm sure. But for those of you who haven't, hey, maybe there's be something here. Let me know in the comments below after this video if there's anything here that you were actually maybe convinced you to buy the game. Definitely let me know, I'd be curious. But with that, let's just get started here. The first part, of course, I mean, just the visuals. We got to talk about how this game looks. Look at this gameplay right now. Look at this game in motion, like the fiery kicks and just the different effects, like the fire, wind, like graffiti effects you see from different people. It's crazy. It's like, it just looks so good in motion, especially on the new, I know they're on last gen, but also like the PS5, Xbox Series X, especially would look super good in motion. Like, look at these look so good. I love the style. Just the stylized games like this, I personally love, and this game is just oozing style. I know one thing that people had an issue with, sorry, Lowen, we're gonna skip you here, with Street Fighter 5. I think there were many reasons people didn't like it from what I've heard, but I think the visuals, were one thing. It was kind of this weird, cartoony, cel-shaded look almost. Like, I don't know, I've heard some very negative opinions about the visual style, but personally to me, this looks more appealing compared to what I've seen in Street Fighter 5. It looks so colorful. It looks like such a lived-in world, and just like so many cool things going on, especially at that 60 frames. Like, ooh, that looks great. So it just looks good. We got to get that off the bat. But number 2, of course, being the gameplay. Now, there's a lot to this gameplay. What's really cool is that there's a new mechanic called the drive mechanic, I believe it's called, which is kind of like a meter. And you can do different types of like different drive moves, whether it's like impacts or blocks and stuff like that. And they have all these different types of moves you can use this one gauge for. And from what I've seen, it'll either, you know, restart after a round or refill after a round, or it slowly refills over the match. Which is pretty cool, you know? So the fact that there is a core, it seems like every Street Fighter's had that main like core mechanic, and that seems to be what the drive system here is. And from what I've heard from different reviews I've watched and listened to and read, it seems like people are a fan of this mechanic, so that's cool to see. Interesting how this one like drive meter kind of manages everything here, so that's kind of cool. And I mean, of course, just like Street Fighter, you know, gameplay. It's a fighting game, it's a 2D fighting game. From what I've heard, the gameplay is nice and clean and smooth and fast paced, but you also know what you're doing, like at least from professional fighting game players, from what I've heard. So that's really cool. I mean, of course, like if you're not into fighting games at all, I mean, this game isn't going to be for you, right? At the end of the day, this is a fighting game. So if you're not at least interested in that gameplay like you're seeing here, then you're probably not going to like it too much. Which, you know, hey, that's totally fine. We don't need everybody to buy this game. But like, you know, if you're on the fence about it and you're like, well, maybe, you know, there's so many different like heavies and medium and light attacks you can do. You have specials and things like that, and blocks and grabs, all that kind of stuff. And clearly, like you see here, the game has plenty of tutorials to help you kind of get up to speed with that gameplay. So, hey, I'm sure you'll learn it over time. And hey, it's there. It's clean gameplay from what I've heard. So that's why, hey, that's another reason to buy this game. But number 3, we got to talk about what we are seeing here, right? The World Tour mode, it's called, which is this game's like beefy single player content. And this is the part that I'm personally the most excited for. I actually think I'm going to be streaming this probably later this month into July, where I've heard it compared almost to like Yakuza. It's interesting. So you can create your own character. That's what you're seeing here. Create your own avatar. You can customize the hell out of them. Apparently there's so many options for character customization and like splash screen customization and taunts and all that stuff. And you kind of go about and you can just fight random people. Like there's random people you meet on the streets, like shop owners and random stuff like that. Hot dog stand owners. You can just go up and start beating them, and you just get money for it. And you can buy new cosmetics. That's like so cool. What's also really funny is apparently you get to meet the actual characters like Ryu, Chun-Li, Cammy, all of those in this mode, and kind of get to interact with them. You can like give them gifts and like level up your interaction with them. You can actually train with them, I believe, and kind of learn some of their styles, which is really, really cool. So if you want to shape your customizable character to fit a certain style, like right now, I mean, I'm all in on DJ. I love how DJ looks. I love how he plays. From what I've seen, I want to meet up with DJ and go hang out with him and like kind of train with him and learn some of his moves. So honestly, I think that's a super cool idea. And like kind of like I've mentioned before, like I love the characters of, and I've loved the world of Street Fighter, and I've always wanted to get into it more. And I think this World Tour mode could be a great way to do that. You know, to just get to know these characters a little better, have them flushed out a little bit, and just a fun little side thing. Apparently it's also like you can put like 20 hours into this mode, which is nuts for like a single player in a fighting game. Like that's pretty beefy. So it's cool to see that Capcom put the effort into that. So honestly, this is the part I'm most excited for this game. So hey, if you've been on the fence too, I mean, for me personally, a single player content in a fighting game really matters, because to be honest, it's where I spend most of my time. But it's, hey, it's to each their own, and it's like it's cool. It's here if you want it, you know. It's definitely, compared to other fighting games from what I've heard, you know, there's a lot more single player content here, so that's great to see. There's also an arcade mode you can go through and do like classic, like different, you know, different characters, arcade routes in your typical fighting games. But I've heard that's also pretty good too. So hey, another reason to buy the game. There you go, good single player content. But another big mode of this game, obviously being a, you know, a fighting game, is the online. Now, from what I've heard, the online has rollback netcode, and I've actually heard it's pretty good in terms of different matches. I've watched some streams here and there of different people I follow, and it seemed pretty smooth. You know, definitely better than like, I mean, I'm used to like Smash Brothers, you know, it's another level. It's another level, not even, it's so much better than something like that. But the rollback netcode is great to see. I mean, I think it would honestly, that seems like it's standard at this point. So if it didn't have it, that'd be weird. But what's really cool is the matchmaking. They have this lobby called the Battle Hub, where they have like all these different like arcade machines around, and you like, to challenge someone, you can go up to these machines and sit down and do a 1v1. It's not, I mean, I don't want to say it's such a small thing. But it's such a cool detail. Like a lot of fighting games won't do that. You'll just, you know, go through some menus and meet a match. You know, Smash Ultimate kind of has the, like, you know, the lobby, like wrestling ring, and you can kind of wait. And it's like, it's still just glorified menus at the end of the day. And this is too, but this is like so much more in depth. And apparently you can like meet people in the middle. I think that's how you can challenge people with your custom character, from what I've heard. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong about that, but you can like go into the middle of the battle hub and like use your custom character to fight, which is really cool. And just, yeah, I love the idea of sitting down and kind of playing different, like at an arcade cabinet, like challenging people that way. Like it's such a cool idea. I know it's such a small thing, but I love that idea. That's super, super cool. So, and of course, the online seems pretty reliable with that rollback netcode, so that's great to hear. So, number 4 reason that you might consider this game. Now, number 5 reason, which is a very important one, honestly, especially if you're about the fence like me, is Cammy. No, I'm just kidding. Number 5 is, well, it could be a reason. Number 5 is the accessibility options in this game, because this game has a new control scheme. They're calling it the modern control scheme, where, and this is one thing that always really prevented me from really getting into fighting games and like practicing and learning the moves, is all the button combos. And that is still there if you want all that like crazy input in terms of being able to pull off certain special moves and combos and stuff like that. That's there for you. That's there for all those hardcore players who want to do that. And to be honest, I would love to learn that at some point. But they also have what they're calling the modern control scheme, which is for the 4 face buttons. You have, I believe, a light attack, medium attack, heavy attack, and special kind of mapped out along the 4 face buttons, and then like the triggers can be. So essentially, they're making it a lot easier instead of having all these, like, I don't want to say nonsensical, but you know what I mean? Like, you know how fighting games can get with the crazy combos in terms of inputting moves and trying to pull those moves off. They've simplified it with this control scheme, which I think is really important when it comes to, you know, especially if you're trying to bring in maybe slightly more casual players who have always been put off by those really complicated controls. This is a great option to have for a fighting game, and honestly, I wish more fighting games would do this to, you know, rope players in better, you know, to have that option. It's not like it's completely replacing the standard control scheme. You know, that is there for hardcore players and players who want that challenge. I think this could be a good way to start. Like for myself, I'm thinking like I might start with the modern control scheme and then work my way up to like the standard, like really intense button combo. Like I mean, these are pretty simple combos, but you know what I mean? Like the quarter circle, half circle, but you know what I mean? Like those can be, some of those more complicated moves can be very intense. So the fact that they are streamlining that a little bit more as an option for players who want it, that's awesome. I love that. That's honestly great that they have that option, you know, and something that I probably will take advantage of, at least starting off, you know, just to kind of get used to the mechanics of the gameplay and then kind of upgrade from there. Because like playing like Ryu and Terry in Smash Brothers, I do actually do the combo input for some of those moves. Those are pretty simple moves, though. I know some of them get even more complicated in this game, in like Marvel vs. Capcom, for example. So the fact that this streamlined modern control scheme is here, it's just awesome. You know, like I said, I hope more fighting games can do stuff like this in the future. Smash doesn't really have that problem, but like, I don't know, like Tekken, Mortal Kombat. Oh, I don't know if Mortal Kombat was ever super intensive. I don't know. Let me know in the comments below if you'd like to see this kind of gameplay control scheme in other fighting games as well, because I think it's great that they're doing this. But hey, that's it. Those are the not the only 5, by the way. These are just 5 I wanted to highlight. Like I said, Cammy's also an option. And Chun-Li, hey, you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong. Everybody's hot in this game as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, it's honestly just really cool to see this game just do really well, review really well, and people are having a blast with it. I'm honestly cannot wait to check it out and try it out, especially, like I said, the World Tour mode I'm very interested in, because single player content to me in a fighting game is actually pretty important as someone who doesn't always like to become super competitive online, you know? And one thing I also didn't mention, just a quick thing, I love the diversity of the characters here. You know, just the new characters, the old ones, they're bringing back some legacy costumes too. They're just super cool to see. So I love the variety, the diversity in the cast here, so that's great. Just a little shout out to those characters there. From some fighting game, or some like Street Fighter regulars, from what I've heard, this might be their favorite starting roster of all time, which is really cool, you know, and it's great to see the new and the old characters be here, so that's always good to see. With that though, that's where I'm going to leave off this video. Let me know in the comments below if any of these things convince you to buy the game, or if I'm just rambling. You know, I do that a lot, so it's probably what happened here. But let me know if you were on the fence about the game and maybe now you're considering getting it. Or if you're not, hey, just let me know why. I'd be curious to know why you wouldn't be interested. Or if you already bought the game, let me know what you think. You know, no spoilers, please, but just let us know what you think in the comments below. You know, how you're enjoying it, if you like the World Tour mode or not. Definitely let me know in the comments below. But with that, I appreciate you watching. If you made it all this way, always a blast. And hey, I love just like going into reasons, because this gets me more excited for the game, right? I did this, like I said, with Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe and Advance Wars 1+2 Reboot Camp. So doing this with this game, it's getting me even more excited for this game too. So with that, gonna leave it off here. Thank you again for watching. I will catch you all in the next video live stream. Till then next time, hey, watch out in the streets. You never know what hot dog stand owner is going to run into and just give you a nice smack. Never know. See ya.